So, one of the most popular requests I get for tutorials on the Twitch channel, by the way, if you're not already following, go and follow me at twitch.tv/redeye, link down in the description, is this. How do I use spec maps and how do I make chrome and metallic and red ball style satin matte finishes on my cars in iRacing? It's a great question. There's lots of videos out there. Lots of people make it really complicated. It's not that complicated at all. So let me take you through a really straightforward tutorial on the very basics. This isn't going to teach the advanced stuff, but the very basics of how to get spec maps working in iRacing. So, we've got a free car in front of us, the M2, the BMW M2. This is how it looks when it comes in the default template. I'm going to show you the template inside Photoshop as well. That's basically what you get, all right? And we've got three folders in our sidebar right now. We've got the paintable area, which is what you see on screen effectively. We've got the turn off before exporting to the TGA folder. Now, if you're already familiar with making paints, you'll already know what those two folders are, and I'm not going to go into them in any detail on this video. What we're going to focus on instead is the custom spec map area, the green area, okay? And when you click it on initially, you'll find that it doesn't really tell you anything. It's usually a mixture of greens and maybe some orange, maybe some bright reds, maybe even some blue in there, or some pink. And it doesn't really tell you much about anything, frankly. And you know what? It doesn't need to. That's the good news. You don't have to worry about what's already in there. When you open up the custom spec map, you'll find three different folders. You'll find the red channel, you'll find the green channel, and you'll usually find the blue channel. Some of the older paints don't have the blue channel, they have an alpha channel. Don't worry about that, ignore them for now. Within each of these channels, they'll have what's called a base paint, okay? So there's a base paint in the red, there's a base paint in the green, and there's a base paint in the blue. For all intents and purposes, these are the defaults, okay? All of the other layers that you've got in here relate to the parts or the carbon fibre, maybe, that are already on a particular car. So in this case, in the red channel, we've got the parts area. So if we untick this, you'll see it does almost nothing because the parts aren't coloured in that well. And we've also got the carbon wing. So if we turn that one off, you'll see that it does change the colour, okay? And likewise, we can have a carbon roof in this one if we want to enable it or turn it off. Again, in the green channel, you'll find that all of those layers are replicated, and there's a really good reason for that. The basic way to think of a spec map is that it's made up of three parts. It's made up of a red channel, it's made up of a green channel, and it's made up of a blue channel. And those three things do slightly different things in iRacing in terms of the spec map. And I haven't really explained it very well, but a spec map is basically the finish of the car. So whilst you might paint your car normally, and you might paint it white, or you might paint it blue, or you might paint it red, or a mixture of all three colours, that's absolutely fine. If you don't want to do anything other than that, job's done. Don't have to worry about a spec map. Where it gets tricky, however, is if you want the car to have a finish on it. In other words, you want it to be chrome, or metallic, or silver, or gold, or bronze, or a mixture of all of those things, or a mixture of gloss, satin matte, and chrome. And that's where the spec map comes in, because it's the only way you're going to be able to do that and deliver it on the cars inside iRacing. And you do that via the three different layers, three different folders, red, green, and blue. Now, it's really important to remember that all of those layers are not individual layers. So the red isn't exclusive to itself, the green isn't exclusive, nor is the blue. In other words, they interact with each other based on what you put in the different folders. So if you put one file in the red, but you don't put anything in the other two layers, you'll just get the effect of what you've put on it in red, okay? However, if you put the same layer into the green layer, those two layers will interact with each other. In other words, with the red being what we call chrome or metallic, and the green layer being roughness, if you've set one to be rough and one to be chrome, the two will mix each other, and therefore the colours in what you see in here will change. Again, don't have to worry about the end colours of what appears in front of you. You just have to worry about what it looks like on the car, okay? But it's important to remember that all three levels interact with each other. So if you put something in the red channel, and then you don't want it to be affected in the other two channels, you're going to have to effectively block it out. In other words, you're telling each folder what to do with the information you've given them. So, for instance, if you put a decal in one layer, and you don't want it to be shiny, don't put it in the metallic folder. But if you already have something in the metallic folder that's shiny, guess what? It's going to make your decal shiny as well. So then you'll need to put the decal in the red folder, and you'll need to tell the red folder to ignore the fact that you want that decal to be metallic. I know it's a bit complicated, but I'm going to clear this up as we go through with some examples. And we're going to do some simple ones. We're going to show you how to do chrome, we're going to show you how to do metallic, and we're going to show you how to do satin matte. And we're also going to show you how to reset it all effectively to the standard gloss that you get at the very beginning when you load up the car, like now. So for instance, at the moment, standard gloss, okay? There's no finish applied to this. It's in this lovely light blue that comes in the template. There's no difference to it. We've got some carbon fibre on the roof. We've got some carbon fibre on the rear. And as you've already seen inside our spec map, that's been dealt with by the default template, okay? So, moving on. How do we start? There's lots of ways of doing this, and I've seen lots of different videos that make it seem like it's really complicated, but actually, at its core, it's really not that complicated at all. We're going to start off by minimising the green layer and the blue layer, okay, because we're just going to ignore these layers for now. I just don't want to talk to you about anything that's going on in green and blue. We're solely going to talk about the red layer and how it works, okay? So as you can see, the red folder is called the red channel metallic. Now ignore the parts and the carbon wing that are in there. We're just going to work on the base paint right now. Now, it doesn't really matter what software you're using. I'm using a very old version of Photoshop. Pretty much anything that works with vectors or shapes will do fine for making paints. And in particular, Specmap, as long as something uses layers, you should be absolutely fine. Now the way I like to do this, because I want to keep the core colour of the base paint the same, and the ability to change it back if I need to, is I will actually apply what's called a blending option to this layer, okay? So this is the red base paint channel, okay? Nothing more. Base paint in the red channel. And I'm going to say I want to give it a colour overlay, okay? Now you see it's already changed because we've got a grey colour listed as our colour change. The important thing to remember is on all of the base paints in each of the folders, red, green and blue, if you change the base paint within that folder, you change the finish on the car, okay? And that's the same as if you change one, or you change all three, or you change two of the three. Don't forget what I said earlier on. They all interact with each other. Now, we're not going to change the green or the blue just now. We're just going to focus on the red, and I'm going to show you the differences it makes depending on the scale that you apply of the colour in that particular panel, okay? So right now, we're going to go in here, and if we said we're going to make this completely white, you can see it makes it very bright orange on the screen, okay? The colours that you use to apply as an overlay colour should not be a colour. In other words, it's just grayscale. It's on a white to black sliding scale. So for instance, in here, we can actually just use the brightness, which is currently set at 100%, okay? So what it's basically saying is, I want 100% white on this channel. If I put in 0, you can see it goes back to green in here, but we're now at black, because 0, obviously of white, is black, okay? So you're only using a sliding scale of colours from white to black and nothing in between. Forget oranges and greens and reds, and anything that's coloured in here will cause you grief, okay? So just focus for now on white to black, 100% to 0. That's it. That's all you have to remember whenever you apply a colour to a layer. Now here's the other clever thing. When you come to actually paint this particular layer in red, if it's fully white, in other words, 100% white, that will give you maximum chromatic effect in the red channel. Okay? So if you want a chrome car, apply 100% of white to the base paint. Okay? So I'll show you what it will do now, right? So we'll just double check. Look, we've got a standard car, hasn't changed in any way. We'll leave the default blue on it for now to show you what it does to the blue. And we'll say that we want 100% white on the blending option of a colour overlay, okay? So there's our white, 100% in here. You can use the sliding scales down the side, like that. That's all you're doing is white to black, and you can use the scale in here if you prefer to just type. So typing in 100%. So right now, the colour that we apply to this base paint layer in the red channel only is white, okay? So we're making it white, and that's all it's doing, okay? Now, watch what happens when we save this file, okay? Because it's going to change drastically. There you go. So that's now a fully chromed default template car. And you can see the chrome is very strong. It's very, very strong on the car. It's very chromatic indeed, all the way around. Anywhere that basically you can paint on the car, other than the roof because we've got a roof cover on it, has now become a chromed car. So if all you really wanted to get out of this video is how do I make a chrome vehicle, job done, you can tune out now. If you'd like to know how to change that and make it a little bit more subtle, or change it to maybe just a metallic version, stay with me, because we're also going to do that. Likewise, I also want to show you what happens if you change the colour. So 100% white on the base paint colour of the red channel gives you a chrome car. That's it. Really simple, right? You've made your first spec map. Congrats. If, however, you want to change this a little bit, remember you can go back into the colour overlay and you can make the colour whatever you want. So, for instance, we had 100% white. Well, what happens if we go to 50%? Let's show you. So we'll change it to 50%. We'll save the car. And we go back and you'll see now it's metallic. And it's chromy. But it's not as severe. It's not as crazy as it was before. It's just got a nice little hint of chrome on it. So again, if that's all you want a nice little hint of chrome on the car, fantastic. Job done. Now, to show you what it looks like if you change the vehicle itself, because a lot of you will also be saying, well, hold on, that's all very well showing me how to make it chrome, but I want to make it gold or silver. Okay, no problem at all. Effectively, what you're going to say is, if you want it to be maximum chromy gold, like really tacky jewellery shop gold, all you're going to do is say, I want this to be 100% white, because we know that 100% white in here gives us the maximum chromatic effect. We've already seen that, right? So if we save this now, it'll change it from being slightly metallic to being full chrome. But it's blue. Okay, so go back to your original paint colour, down on the bottom, and do the same thing. But this is outside the spec map, remember? This is the colour overlay. Now, if I make it white as a background, it would ordinarily just be white without the spec map, wouldn't it? However, with the chrome that we've applied, look what happens to the effect. It's now a silver chrome car. And that's it. It's as straightforward as that. We've just made a chromed car by changing one layer in the spec map, on the red channel, on the base paint, and made it 100% white. That's all we've done. And likewise, if you want that to be gold, then change the base colour outside of the spec map again. Pick a very light yellow. You don't need much in there actually at all. You can just change it very subtly like that. And again, save it. See what the effect is on the car. Gold. And you can mess around with that as well. You can make it bronze. You can make it really like crazy gold if you really wanted to. Again, a bronze colour is more sort of orangey brown, so you can make it sort of that colour. So although this colour here is sort of beige, actually combined with the spec map, what happens is you get this lovely kind of bronzy gold effect on it. And that's it. You've made chrome cars, okay? So what happens if we want to tone this down a bit and actually make it a bit more metallic and a bit rougher? Well, good question. And the easy answer, of course, is that actually we've got another layer. I'm just going to change this one back to blue, just so we can see what's going on. So back in our spec map right now, we've got 100% on the base paint in the red channel. We're going to close that red channel now because we're quite happy with having it as chromy as we can. However, we now want to make it a bit rougher and a bit more metallic. So go into the green channel. And you're going to do exactly the same principle. If you remember that any channel you change, any layer you change, should have an overlay of colour on it between white and black. You can't go wrong, okay? You can actually leave the base paints alone if you want to, if they're already giving you the kind of effect that you want, like we have already. But also remember what I said at the start of the video. The red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel all interact with each other. So as soon as we place something on this green channel, and we've already got something in the red channel, which is 100% white on the base paint, the two are going to interact with each other, okay? So to start with, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to go to the base paint in the green channel. We're going to go for the blending options. We're going to go for a colour overlay, and we're going to put maximum white on it, okay? Just to show you what the effect is. Now, you can see it's changed the base colour in here to yellow. Again, we don't care what colour is in here. We're just focusing on what we're changing on the layers, nothing else, okay? Ignore what you see in front of you, effectively. Now, this one, we're going to save that. Oh, we're going to save that on the. So I didn't want to do that. Let me just. No, we're okay. My bad. See, we're doing this live. So we're going to save that. And. Just make sure that's turned on. Right, so yeah, so green channel, blending options, colour overlay, full white. Just to double check that it's gone that crazy yellow, which it has, okay? So we're all yellow again in here. So that's changed the spec map. We're going to save the M2, not the Z4. And you'll see now that what's happened is, now we've applied 100% white to the green channel, the car's gone entirely flat. There's no chrome in it. There's no gloss in it. There's no satin effect in it. It's literally just gone completely flat. You might even sort of say like a velvet finish. It's completely flat. That's not what we wanted at all. We want our chrome to come through. We want some sort of metallic through. Now, the reason I've done this for you and to show you is an extreme example. We've put 100% white on the base paint in the green channel. Okay? Now, the green channel is roughness. So it's basically saying, how rough do you want it? And 100% white is rough as anything. The roughest you can possibly make it, please. And obviously, we don't want to put 100% roughness on it because we don't want it to be that rough. So let's dial that back a little bit. And remember, we're interacting with the red layer at the moment because we've already got that. So we go back to our white. And again, you can slide the scale down here. And let's pick a nice 35% in here, okay? And you'll see that it's changed the colour on the background again. But we already know what's going to happen before because we've already got the red channel. So now we've got the red and the green interacting with each other. We've got 100% white on the red. And we've got 35% white on the base paint in the green channel. So let's see what happens when we now save it to our lovely M2. Boom. We've now got a beautiful metallic, not chrome, but a metallic version of the colour. As you can see now, as you move the light across it, and the way that the light interacts with it. So now we've got a rougher version of what we had before. But it's still metallic. It's not quite as shiny and chromy as it was before. It's a much nicer finish. You can sort of see the roughness within it. And so you can decide how rough you want it. And you do that by just changing the green channel. Likewise, you might think, actually, I don't want it to be quite so metallic. Okay, go back into the red channel and dull that down a little bit. Work in 10% increments is what I like to do. And then you kind of find, okay, that's a bit more than I wanted or a bit less than I wanted. Now I'll work in 5% increments and now then down to 1 or 2. Generally speaking, I find 35% of the white on the green channel to be quite a good starting point if you want some roughness on a metallic finish. So there you go. So that's how the two interact with each other. Now, obviously, you can also then turn off the green channel by taking off the effect. Don't turn the channel off, but take off the effect of the base paint, okay? So in here, if we just disable it, it goes back to standard base paint, which is why I like to put blends on it rather than change the actual original colour. So let's see what it does now that we've taken all the metallic out. So we're basically telling the spec map we don't want any metallic in there, we don't want any chrome in there anymore, but we don't want it to be gloss. We want it to be a little rough with the green channel. So all we've got is our 35% of white in the green channel. It's all we've got left on there now. And now if we save it, you'll see that actually it's made this lovely kind of satin matte effect on the car. There isn't the gloss that we had earlier, but it's got a nice satin matte effect. But there's no chrome, no metallic in there anymore. So you get like a sort of a Red Bull Formula 1 kind of finish. And we can actually dial this up. We can make this a little bit heavier. Again, going to the green channel, going to the blending options, the colour overlay, and then changing this figure here of black and white, or brightness, to a higher figure. So 50, for instance. Remember, white is almost velvet. Okay? And we don't want it to be that high. So we change it up a little bit. And there you go, it's even flatter now. But it's still got that lovely satin matte finish. There's still a sheen to it. And that's much closer to something like the Red Bull F1 cars have. And the Ferraris. So there you go. So if you wanted metallic, or you wanted chrome, or you wanted satin matte finishes, that's basically it. You're done and dusted. There is one other channel, of course, that we haven't touched just yet. And that's called the blue channel, or what they call the clear coat. Most of the time, actually, you don't need to worry about the blue channel. If you want to keep things really simple, work in the green and the red, come up with the kind of finish that you want by altering your black and white on your base layers, and coming up with the right finish, and you'll pretty much, 99% of the time, you'll come up with the finish that you want. On the odd occasions where you want something a little bit different, and maybe you want, I don't know, in this occasion, we're going to go for something slightly different. We're going to go for metallic in our base paint. So we're going to go 100% on the white in the red channel. We're then going to leave this 50% here on the base paint in the green channel. So I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So we get our roughness, but we now get our chrome back. You see that? So we've now got a sort of metallic satin matte going on. But then say, actually, maybe you want it to have a slightly different finish. Maybe you want it to look a bit pearlescent or something. And that's where the blue channel will come in. And it's the same principle again. Exactly the same principle we've used in the green and in the red. Also with the understanding, anything you change in here affects the other way that the colours work on the other layers. It also affects the base colour as well. It might end up being too dark, in which case go and alter your original paint colour to minimise the impact of the spec map. Okay? So same thing again, blending options on this one. We're going to add the colour overlay, and we're going to do maximum white. Effectively, what we're saying is we want maximum clear coat on this, okay? And then look at the effect it has on the car. It's got this incredible colour-changing perspective on the finish. So originally we had this lovely chrome metallic, then we had this lovely matte satin metallic, and now we've got this kind of pearlescent colour-changing finish to it because we've maximised the amount of clear coat on the car. And you'll see it changes depending on the amount of light that hits the car. So it's a really cool effect, and you can just play around with these as well. If you don't want the effect to be quite so strong, again, come back to the blue coat, change the colour overlay, change the whiteness to 50%, and it won't be quite so strong. Again, go back, and you'll see then it's a much subtle effect now on that pearlescent. And likewise, if you decide, actually, I don't want the metallic on there, again, go back to the red channel, disable the effect of the base paint on the bottom, save it again, and you'll get a completely different finish. There you go. There's back to our matte satin again, but you can see there's a slightly different sheen to it. And again, if you say, oh, actually, I want it to be a bit more glossy, I want that satin matte, but I want it to be glossy over the top, go back to your blue channel, change your colour overlay, max out the amount of white that you've got, see what sort of effects you get, and save and update. And now you've got this flat, completely flat velvet look, similar to what you would have got had you 100% in the green. Likewise, if you think, actually, that's completely opposite of what I want, no problem. Experiment. Change it around. Instead of 100, go back down here and type in 20 and see what that does. And mess around until you find the effect that you want. There are thousands and thousands of effects. There you go. So we've now got this gloss finish on a satin matte finish. Kind of a contradiction in terms, but you know what I mean. It's actually given us a completely unique finish on the car. And likewise, you can carry on doing this all day, playing with all three layers. I would strongly suggest play with the first two, red and green, until you get the effect that you like. Then start messing around with the blue clear coat channel to add in. Because once you add in three layers, you're almost changing all three layers as you go along. So it becomes a bit more complicated. But that's it. The essence of changing the spec map and coming up with the different things that you want is as simple as changing the base paint in each of those layers, okay? The difficult part comes when you start introducing shapes, carbon fibre, and decals to your car, okay? Because once you start including decals on the car, things become a bit messy. So I'm going to reset all of these and show you what this looks like. We're not going to go into this now. This could be for another video. But just to give you an idea of what you're going to have to do, okay? The same principle applies. Anything you put in the spec map layers should have a colour overlay on it between 0 and 100% of white. So black to white on the grayscale channel. Every single layer should have that on it, except for the base paint if you're going to leave them alone, okay? So right now, I'm going to disable the blue channel, so we don't have the blue channel on here. I'm going to leave the base paint that we originally had, and I'm going to have the metallic on the car. So right now, it will look like this, okay? Now, there's a reason I've done this, because I want to show you what happens if you don't include the decal on the car, okay? So we're going to write a really simple note on the side of the car, and we're going to do it in white because I want to show you the effect of it effectively. And all we're going to do is type the word Paul on here, okay? I'm going to pop this down here in the decals, make it a bit bigger so you can actually see it. So we're going to put that on the side of the car like that, and now when we update the car, what you'll see is that it's got our name on the side of the car, which is great, right? Except that, of course, if I want to chromify this car, fully chromify this car, and we take off the green channel and we just leave on our base paint here of 100% white, okay? Still 100% white. So this is going to make the car fully chrome, remember, if that's what we do in our red channel. I've got nothing else on there. We've got no green channel. We've got no blue channel. We're just going to chromify the car. That's all I wanted to do. Make a nice chrome car, okay? So there's our lovely chrome car. And what it's done, unfortunately, it's also chromified the decal and made it kind of dull and blended it into the paint. Now, that might be an effect that you're looking for, but generally speaking, when you put decals on the car, you won't want them to be chromed, because they might have white in, or they might have yellow in, or they might have orange in. And what that will do is it will make them look gold or silver or bronze at worst, okay? Black doesn't tend to get changed too much, but white definitely does. You can see it's gone very silver here, okay? So how do I change that? The easiest way of changing this for me is whatever you've got as a decal layer down here, so we've only got one obviously. If you've got several decals in there, I literally will put them all in one folder, I'll right click on them and convert them to a smart object. So just so that they've got exactly the same vectors within them, okay? Rather than any extra pixels that we're going to add, we don't get any roughness on them, we want them to be as good as they currently are in the layer. And then I'm going to duplicate that layer, okay? And we're going to drag it all the way back up to the very top outside the custom spec map. Now the reason I've done this is just to make it easier to see, okay? So now what we've got is we've got a layer that's a duplicate layer of what we've already got in our paint. So we leave it on the paint as it was, no problem, it's in the right place, it's the right size, the right colour and everything else. However, we now need to tell the spec map what to do with that layer, okay? And because we've only changed one channel, we've only changed the red channel, we only have to put this decal in the red channel. Because what we're saying effectively by changing the base paint is change everything on the car that you see to chrome. Change everything on the car. That's what we've changed on the base paint, right? If we only wanted to change a part of it, then we would select a part of the car, like the bonnet, and we'd put the bonnet inside the red channel, and we'd tell it to just make that one chrome. But we haven't. We've told it to do the whole car. So now anything we put on top of the car, the spec map thinks we want to be chromed. And obviously we don't. So now we need to tell it we don't want it to be chromed. So the way we do that is by copying it with a full, as I've copied it before. And now we want to place it in the red channel. So usually you want to place it above the base paint and maybe even above the roof if you've got it on the roof, or you might want to place it if you've got a part that's covered, you might want to place it above. I generally put the decals at the very top of the folder. Okay, so let's put it in there. Now what we also need to do is if we left it in there like that, it would literally take whatever colour it was and it would apply the base colour. So in this case, it would make it silver again, and that's not what we want either. So instead, we need to apply, as I said to you earlier, you need to apply a black to white scale on every single item that you put inside the spec map, okay? To tell the spec map what to do with it. So at the moment, the spec map is telling us that it wants to chrome the entire car, because that's what we've got in our base paint. We don't want that to happen here. So instead, what we do is we apply a layer of colour to this. Now, if we applied 100% white, it would just be chrome, because that's what we know happens in the red channel now. If I apply black, however, it won't do anything to it. So on this occasion, we're going to make all of that black. Okay, so remember what we looked at before? It's very dull in here, because it's chromed. But now I've told the spec map, do not make that chromified. I don't want that to be chromed the way I do the rest of the layer. Okay, so now when we save it, watch what happens to the pool. It actually pops out. It's actually no longer chromified. It's its own layer. And it no longer looks silver. Now it might be that you want to make it look silver, in which case fine, apply a layer to it. And if we wanted to make it duller, or we wanted to make it pop out even more, then we can also place it in the green layer. So on this occasion, we didn't use the green layer, but if we did use the green layer on the base paint, we'd also have to drag that decal layer into the green channel and also tell it in there what we wanted it to do. Now, generally speaking, it's the same principle, except you wouldn't make it 0, you'd make it 15%, because that's the threshold for gloss inside the green channel. So same thing applies, right? If we ended up having to this, making this satin, matte satin, and I'll show you what it looks like with matte satin. So if we take the pool thing, you'll see that's matte satin now, right? But we might want pool to be glossy. At the moment, it's going to inherit whatever's in the green channel, because we haven't told it any differently, right? However, if I drag this file down, imagine we'd already done it in the red channel, and we're going to put it in the green channel now, and I'm going to turn this one on. Then basically what we're saying to it is, down here, we want it to be gloss. And we know that gloss is 15% of white. So that changes it to that. Okay, so really straightforward, and we save that now, and you won't notice it much. However, some of the light on it will now be, that will all be gloss on that layer now, and it will stand out better as we turn it around the car. It's not amazingly obvious, but it is actually a gloss colour now. And that's it. That's Specmaps. Doesn't require a law degree or a brain science degree or rocket science degree. Just needs some common sense and the ability to apply black and white layers to your paint. Hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please come and follow me on twitch.tv/redeye and enjoy some more tutorials and some live painting. See you next time.